And we'll start with Ben McKee, Grant Ramey, and Jimmy Himes.
Rick, just in terms of your rotation, I know the other night you talked about giving these guys as much time and maybe till Christmas and letting them kind of figure it out on their own in terms of production. But how do you battle that or, worry about the team chemistry or the chemistry of a 5 to 7 coming together while also allowing them time to kind of sort things out in the rotation?
I think with what we do in practice every day and the competition and the fact that we're always mixing teams and matching things up in practice and flipping jerseys, the guys understand each other. And I think that we're still, as we're going through this, learning the, good rotations that we feel comfortable with when guys are out there. We try to keep some older guys out there sometimes when we go with earlier in the year, but now that we've got some experience with most of these young guys in general, that we can sort of do what we do in practice every day, where we're really not that concerned with the lineups that we have, because we know that the guys that we put out there, they know what we're doing, what we need to get done. And the chemistry, I think it takes place a lot in the locker room too. I think it goes back to leadership from our older guys and our younger guys as they continue to understand the game and realize how valuable minutes are. And realize too that it's a long year, a lot can change. And as long as they'll continue to work, I've told them all, as long as they continue to work and put the team first, I think good things will work out for everybody.
Rick, is it crazy to think back a year ago to how you guys were scrambling to get teams like Colorado on the schedule, such a last-minute move? And how unique is it to have a 2-game road trip in the regular season where it's not really a tournament setting, it's just kind of how the schedule played out?
Well, I think it is unique. And the fact, and you're right, this last year, this time, we made up 2 of those games that we scheduled at, we're on the fly last year, obviously UT Martin being one of them and Colorado now being the other one, where we had, and we were thankful that they were able to do it. Last year, Tad was able to come here, which helped us because, we had coming off just having a couple of days of practice prior to that. But, it's been unique, and then going on this trip, I think it's going to be a big week for us. We're playing 2 outstanding teams, and a true road game here early, then obviously a neutral site game up in New York. And we're going to, I say it every time we go out, we have a chance to learn something about ourselves and see if we can continue to do what we need to do to get better, and hopefully we'll continue to find something out about us in these next 2 games.
Rick, in the scrimmages and exhibition game, you were taking over 43s. Now you've kind of settled into 20 to 30 in your most recent games. Is that the number you would like to see as far as 3-point attempts?
I think it varies, Jimmy. When early in the year when we were playing, John wasn't with us either. We weren't playing as much through the post because we were still working on developing those other guys to do that. And plus we're playing teams that were way back in there. Giving us that shot. And I think to create confidence, to get guys to shoot the ball, we tell them all the time, if we're open, we're going to shoot it, because we take great pride in the work ethic that these guys have put into their becoming good shooters. And but the number, we don't have a set number. We want to open shots. They're hard to come by, but when we move the ball the way we want to move it, we think that we'll get those opportunities. But we don't have a set number. Early in the year, the reason the numbers were that high was simply we weren't playing inside as much as we would like to have that balance, and we're getting there now.
Mike Wilson and Ryan Shumpert.
Yeah, Rick, where is Jonas at this point, and what's it going to take for him to be in a place where he might be able to contribute more than kind of end of game minutes?
Mike, that's a really good question. It really is. The best way I can answer it for you would be, it will be his practice habits. It'll be what he does in practice. He has shown us here in the last week or so that he's still behind because of the time he missed, but we do know that he can help us. And we think that, as I said earlier, it's a long time between now and the end of the year. He does give us something that we don't have out there most of the time. It's great length. Every day in practice, he affects shot when he's out there. As he continues to get himself in the kind of shape that we need him to be in speed-wise and play at the pace that we're playing at, I think will probably be that determining factor, along with arguably the most important thing is understanding our defensive scheme away from the basket. You know, realizing that he's going to have to get out there quicker. He can't give up separation when his man runs from under, because he's going to be in a lot of ball screens. As much as we talked about our guards learning how to play ball screens, these young guys, it's the same is true for post guys. And you give up great separation coming out from underneath the basket, it's hard for those guards to do their jobs. And when you're playing from behind, it really puts you almost in rotation every time. I think that once he really gets that part of it down and continues to do what we need him to do on the offensive end, you know, I can only tell you this: we have confidence in him, but he's going to have to get there quickly.
What have you seen from Euros that maybe you've liked the last few weeks, and then some things that he needs to improve on and maybe continue to play the minutes he has?
Well, we like what he does in practice, and what we want to see is him to do exactly what he does in practice, as opposed to, I mentioned it the other night, sometimes he gets in the game, I think he feels he's looking to score more than he does in practice. And obviously all the shots around the rim, I mean, they're not easy. Those aren't gimmies by any means when the traffic is going on there and you've got to play in tight space. But I like to see not just him, but all of our guys, you know, finish more of those shots around the rim. But if he will just do what he normally does every day in practice, you got to cut down fouling, because, you know, he's gets himself in foul trouble by leaning a little bit more than he should at times, or using his upper body more inside, trying to play post defense that way. But if he will just do what he does in practice, there's no doubt he will continue to help us.
Rob Lewis and Jimmy Himes.
Coach, just Colorado, what jumps out at you about them on the scout? What are you worried about? What do they do well? What do you have to stop?
Well, you know, one, Tad does a terrific job with his teams. They're explosive offensively, terrific inside player that can create all kind of problems for you. And we're going to have to, again, collectively as a team, guard the way I think we're capable of. Last year, you know, they played a lot of 2-3 zones, so we will certainly expect to see that some, because it's definitely stifled us in some ways where, you know, we were up, had a pretty good lead, and they fall back, which, you know, they would do anyway. But so we're expecting to see some of that. And but with that said, it's about us, again, trying to see what it's going to be like with our first real road game and seeing how we respond to it.
Rick, in terms of Kennedy Chandler, what do you like most about what you've seen from him so far?
Well, what I like now is after, you know, he didn't have such a great performance against Tennessee Tech, where we didn't feel had prepared the way he needs to prepare. The next couple of days, that's what we're proud of, because he did. He understood everything. Every game counts, and not to, you know, even when you've had the success that he's had, not to start feeling too good about yourself and not thinking you have it figured out. And not that he did that, he's just young. And but he showed great character, great discipline in the way after the Tennessee Tech game, how he fought back and really worked in practice. And the other night defensively, arguably the best effort he's had all year, really trying to do the things that we wanted to see him do. And Kennedy has a chance to, again, to be as good as he wants to be, but it's going to be a price that you have to pay to get there. And we have confidence in him that he wants to do it.
Last two questions before we transition to Olivier Kamwa. Go to Mike Wilson and Ryan Shumpert.
Yeah, Rick, do you expect Josiah available in these next two games? And what sort of things is he able to do in practice at this point, just with the injury, to kind of keep him involved?
I don't know. I haven't talked to Chad today yet about it. He goes through some of the warm up that we do in practice, but he hasn't had any contact in practice yet. He still has to. It's as I said, we've got so much trust in him and know he will let us know when he thinks he can be effective out there doing whatever it is he thinks he can help us with. But he's doing his part in any and every way he can to keep himself into shape, taking care of his body, staying engaged with game plans, and helping those guys and being the leader that we talked about, he and those older guys being for our team this year.
With your past spending some time coaching in the Big East, what does it mean to go play a game up in Madison Square Garden?
Well, I even through the years, whether we were after leaving Providence, because obviously every year having the Big East championship game there, and we were fortunate to win it our last year at Providence, and even when Clemson, Texas, wherever we've been, we've always felt it to be very important to play up in the Northeast. It's the one thing I learned leaving George Mason, going to up into New England, was just how big basketball is in the northeastern part of the country. I mean, people love it up there, and I think it'll be really a great thrill for our guys to walk in Madison Square Garden. It's as we know, the mecca of college basketball, and not sure what it's going to be like traveling into New York this time of year. It's always been as we know, a very vibrant area and city, and somewhere that I've always enjoyed going back to. But going to play a team that's in Texas Tech, who's finding their way and playing really good. I watched them play last night. They had a great game against Providence College last night. And but for our players, I think that if they don't know what it means to play in the Garden, I think that once they get up there and start thinking about and talking about the history of it, they'll realize that it's something that they should hold special.